It's time to accelerate. Hi, I'm your host, Andy Paul. Join me as I host conversations with the leading experts in sales, marketing, sales automation, sales process, leadership, management, training, coaching, any resource that I believe to help you accelerate the growth of your sales, your business, and most importantly, you. Hello, and welcome to Accelerate. This is another edition of Frontline Friday with my regular and very special guest, Bridget Gleason. Bridget, how are you?
Andy, good morning. I'm doing great here in California, and you're in New York?
I am in my New York studio, the studios of the Zero Time Selling Empire, yes.
I love it, the Zero Time Selling Empire. Andy, last time we talked a bit about my morning ritual of taking a run, and I know you've got events. My peregrinations. I know you've got some events coming up, don't you?
Yeah. Actually, every year, my sister and I, over the last several years, made a tradition, is we run the Maui Half Marathon. And so that's coming up. Actually, by the time this episode airs, we will have done it already. But,
wow.
It is coming up.
Good for you.
So, yeah, the challenge has been, is I still have one more long run to get in, my final long run before the event. And it's just so hot and humid here in New York. I mean, trust me, these summers are, well, hey, the statistics show it. The summers are getting hotter. And, yeah, it's getting out and being able to run 12, 13 miles without incurring heat stroke is a real challenge. So at this time of year, so I paying attention to the weather, and it looks like the overnight lows are going to dip below 70 for the first time in about 2 months this weekend. Or so I'm gonna try to get out at 5 o'clock in the morning and see if I can get a long one in before the sun gets too high in the sky.
And is this good training weather though? Does it mirror the weather that you'll have in Maui, hot and humid?
Well, yeah. The difference is, for those who have been to Maui, is you've got the trade winds.
Yeah,
and,
that's
the experience,
true.
And some people I know don't like Maui as much as some of the other islands because the pervasiveness of the winds. But the Maui Marathon, the half marathon, and there is a marathon part of it, but that's for a different stage of life. It starts at 5 in the morning. So the great thing is, given the way the mountains are situated and where the course is in the Kaanapali area and the Lahaina area, is that we get through, at least I do, based on the pace I run, I get to about mile 12 before the sun peaks up over the top of the mountains. So before that, the first half of the run, it's basically dark, almost. So they've got it pretty well organized so that you are shaded from a lot of the sun if you run, at least for me, if you run at a certain pace. So, yeah. Hopefully,
you know, Andy, is a segue, but it's maybe slightly relevant. I owe a lot in my career to running. One of my early jobs that I got, I was still in school. I was at UCLA, but home for the summer. And I was out running. I was taking a long run in the town where I grew up. And in a long run, like it was, I was doing marathons at the time also. And it was maybe I was on a 15-mile run. And people in the town where I grew up in Palos Verdes are very friendly. And somebody started running alongside me on this path. And we talked, and he said, "What are you doing this summer? Are you looking for work, a job?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm at UCLA. Could you, be great to do something?" He said, "Well, I'll drop an application by. We're looking for people." Well, it turns out he worked for Xerox. So, I thought he was going to work for, Joe's Automotive Supply Company. Okay, and his name was Joe.
Right.
And he dropped off an application for Xerox, and they had a very competitive program at the time, an internship program, and would, take people highly competitive from all over the country. Well, I got in because I was running. I didn't have to go through any of the rigmarole because we were out, running, and I got another job later when I had interviewed for something, and the sales manager actually was not going to hire me. He told me this later because I didn't answer some of the questions correctly. I wasn't money motivated enough.
Right.
And he was literally, Andy, walking me out the door. And he said, "What are you doing?" I was up in San Francisco. I'd flown up for the interview. "What are you doing this weekend? Are you staying?" I said, "Yeah, I'm running the San Francisco Marathon tomorrow." And he turned around and sat me back down and offered me a job. And he said, and it's consistent with both of these too, that this trait that somebody's going to go out and go run 15 miles just because, when I was in college, and also this manager who hired me after I graduated had said, the discipline that it takes and the goal orientation of somebody that's going to go out and do this willingly is a great quality and characteristic. So I owe anybody that's not out there running, I owe a lot to. I owe a lot to my running career in terms of, I think it has set the pace for me to be highly disciplined. And
I love that. I love the use of the word pace. Very nice. Set the pace. Set the pace. Well,
set the pace.
Well, I think it's really important. I look at it sort of in maybe two dimensions. One is, at least for me personally, when I talk to people about, what they do exercise-wise and so on, is that it's the discipline, it's the competition. I am horribly competitive, as my wife will attest, and not always in the best way she would tell you, but it's I think that's something. People that are staying fit and as you are, competing against themselves. I mean, that's most of it, right? When you're out running, and my whole life, I've run, I've swim, bicycle. I'm always out wanting to better myself, competing against myself. I mean, I'm as old as I am now. I'm still, trying to set best times, or I'm competing against other people my age. You talk about the guy thought, well, I weren't being money motivated enough, but man, you were competitive. I'd rather.
I'm very competitive.
Of course, I'd rather have people that I could. It's easy enough to say, yeah, I'm money motivated. Yeah, anybody can say that. I'm money motivated, and you could take an assessment and show you're money motivated. But man, if you've got that real competitive drive, that's what I want. I want somebody that's really competitive because, we're serving our customers, but we are competing. We have competitors, we got competition. I'm always trying to do something better on the next deal, better than I had the previous deal. Apply something I learned. I mean, it's just integral to the job. So to me, having somebody that has this real strong foundation in exercise competition is to me is a good sign. The other thing, though, that I think that the running does is, for me, from a career standpoint, it's the discipline, and it's the it recharges you. And sales is very stressful. I mean, not that other jobs aren't, but we know sales is very stressful. Very few jobs does the clock get reset to zero every 30 days.
The other thing for me is it's a couple of things. I in a way I've gamified for myself part of my competitive streak, and it's made it fun for me. And I bring that same sense of fun to sales and my career. I gotta have fun. I gotta kind of gamify it around what my goals are, my short-term goals, my long-term. Am I getting better? And I think running and doing, like you, doing marathons and half marathons, and continually looking, was my pace better today than it was yesterday? Mm-hmm. It adds an element of fun that I think is important. The other thing is, for me, so I typically run in the mornings. It's something I do for myself before I go and start serving others, because then the rest of the day for me is about serving others. It's in a leadership role. I have a team who I'm serving. As an individual contributor, I've got customers who I'm serving. So it's that piece of time when it's a bit selfish. It's all about me. It's something I do for me. It's something I enjoy, but not every morning. I don't enjoy it every morning. And I think, some people have said to me before, God, you're lucky that you like it. And I said, yeah, I'm lucky I like it, but I don't like it every day. So I think there are pieces to it that are a great sort of adjunct to the sales career. And, it's often said, in sales that this isn't a sprint, it's more of a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
And yet at times you may be doing a sprint along the way. And it's a good metaphor. I found it to be a good metaphor in my life.
Well, since we've headed off down this path.
I know we've really veered.
No, that's okay.
I don't know what topic you wanted to cover, Andy, but we're on a new one.
We're on a new one, right. So let me ask this question, because this is maybe just, personal bias maybe. But, I talked to a lot of people when it comes up, exercise, running, and I have some friends that live in beautiful Southern California, the perfect weather environment, and every day of the year they run on treadmills inside. I'm like, that displays a certain lack of curiosity. At least I look at a certain lack of curiosity, because part of the reason I love running is I like to see what's going on around me and what's outside, and it's that curiosity which I bring to sales. Very, very curious person, always wanting to learn more. Running sort of addresses that, because I love to take different routes and see what's in neighborhoods, see what the houses look like, who's walking their dog at 6 o'clock in the morning, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never thought about it. The people who I know who do that, who run on treadmills, they just view exercise perhaps differently, as just a thing to be done. So I'm going to go get it done, and it's the most expedient if I get it done here at the gym when it's predictable. I'm in, I'm out, I set the... So I don't know that I would necessarily correlate somebody that runs on a treadmill with somebody who's not curious. But I do think just this element of curiosity is extremely important. And for a variety of reasons, I've had a lot of conversations recently with various CEOs and board members of companies and venture capitalists. And Andy, it's interesting that you mentioned the term curiosity, because I would say that's a word that has come up in almost every conversation, and not by me, around qualities that they look for and or admire in, if it's a VC, in the CEOs who they've invested in, if it's a board member in the executive team, if it's a CEO in his peers in leadership. That curiosity is so critical. And when you think about in a sales environment, if you're naturally curious, that's going to help you so much, because sales is about discovery, and it's about helping the prospect also discover. Sometimes they don't always know exactly what they need and why, and to be on that journey with them of discovery, and to make honest inquiries into what they're doing and what their problems are. It's a real benefit if you're naturally curious.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And it raises a really interesting point, bringing that up, is that we've spoken multiple times in the past about the need for everyone who's in sales, whether you're an individual contributor or a manager, to constantly be acquiring new information about sales, whether you're reading books or listening to podcasts or reading blogs or whatever you do, and investing some of your time to do that. And sort of the flip side to that coin, or the reverse side of that coin, is curiosity, right? It's not just, you shouldn't be looking at that as a duty. You really should be driving it because you're curious. And that sort of gets back to my treadmill analogy a little bit. But, people are just, as you said, people are on the treadmill because they want to get it done, they want to get it over with. You take that same attitude and bring it to your sales, right? As I'm a little robotic, I'm a little too rigid with how I approach my customers, and am I really sort of not keeping my eyes open and ears open for what's going on around me, so I can really hear what the customer is saying and perhaps understand better how we can help and what might be a better solution for them. And this curiosity is absolutely critical. And that's, to me, we want people to be reading books, we want people to be self-educating, but we want them to be driven by a sense of curiosity, to learn more, to know that there's got to be something else out there that I could learn that could help make me better at whatever I do.
Yeah, and I think that also goes back to, Andy, making sure that whatever you're doing, that you've got some semblance of passion around it. And it could be the industry that you're in. It could be that you just like helping people. It could be that you're naturally inquisitive. It could be that you like selling. It could be, but that if what we're doing is not inspiring to us in some way, we're just going to go through the motions.
Or not do it.
Or not do it. And I think more often than not, it's not do it. Because you can only go through the motions for so long, and then it's hard to get motivated to continue to do that.
Well, there's been this influx of books written in the last year or two, actually been published, about this whole concept of grit. And Angela Duckworth's book, and there have been a handful of others. And they're all sort of talking about passion and perseverance. Mm. And I think that a critical part of being able to have perseverance or to persevere is the passion. I mean, I'm sure, have gone through periods of time with your running, not to bore the audience anymore with our running tales, but I'm sure, like I have gone through periods where we've been injured. And, it was the passion for running that enabled us to sort of persevere through the recovery and then having to get back in shape again and so on, which, by the way, gets harder as you get older. But it is that passion that drives you. And I think the same thing is true in almost any walk of life, but I know it's true in sales. It is the passion that sort of underlies the perseverance. When things go off script, when things bad happen, when things that you don't anticipate happen, the unexpected, how do you react to that? And how do you soldier on? Well, I think it's the passion that helps carry you.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think also just when continuing our running and sports analogy this morning, when you have an injury and your muscles then, they haven't been used and they start to atrophy a bit, and getting back into it, which can be difficult and can be painful, and it takes some time. And sometimes it's passion that gets you through that. It's discipline that gets you through that. The same thing is true in sales. There are times of setback, and everybody has them. Every sales rep has them. And when you are experiencing a setback for whatever reason, what is it that's going to carry you through? And I've seen that it's this combination of passion for what you're doing, and sometimes it is also this grit, and it's this discipline, and it's this, it does not feel good to get out there and run right now. It does not feel good to be having to start over with the number of cold calls I need to make, and this base level research I'm having to do. It doesn't feel good. At the end of the day, I know this is what I love and I'm going to keep doing it and I'm going to have fun doing it. And sometimes it's just, I'm going to do it because I got to do it. And it's that combination when there are setbacks that are inevitable. Inevitable in every sales career, there are going to be the peaks and valleys, and it's how do you just sort of ride these out with some grace.
Yeah, and you think about sales in particular. I imagine I'd be interested in statistics on this, actually. That thought just occurred to me. Is what percentage of people in the sales profession, either individual contributor level or management level, over the course of their career were either fired or laid off? I bet you it's a fairly substantial fraction.
That have had one of the two, fired or laid off?
Yeah, I've had one of the two.
I would imagine, especially in the Valley.
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly Silicon Valley is a portion of the audience that listens to this, but certainly not exclusive. But yeah, I'm in the Valley. I can recount my own experiences being laid off once in the Valley. It had nothing to do with the job I was doing. It was they just were running out of money.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, that type of thing's happen. Well, how do you bounce back from it? I mean, I remember at that time, I was pretty young, but my ex-wife and I had just bought our first house. We got a mortgage. Fortunately, she was working, but it was a Palo Alto mortgage, so it's kind of large. And even for the time, because it was, our first mortgage was at 13.5% interest. You can imagine that, people listening to this. That was sort of, there was a few moments it was kind of frightening. But yeah, the next day I was looking through the paper. I found my next job by, there was an article I read in Fortune magazine about a company in Silicon Valley that was doing something really interesting in the communication space. Tore it out, picked up the phone, called them Monday, and 2 months later I started work there.
Andy, just as a quick segue, it's so people may be like scratching their heads, thinking, "What? You tore it out of a newspaper?
No, like Fortune magazine,
or a magazine?"
And then I called them.
That's for you. And then you called them. That's where you did it. It wasn't done online. There wasn't a. I just think, God,
I cold called the company and asked for the vice president of sales.
I just think it's so wonderful and exhilarating to see how much things have changed over the course of 20 years and what the next 20 will look like, or just maybe in tools, technologies, and
sure. But I mean, talk about this tactic. I mean, picked up the phone and I cold called
the
VP of sales.
The same.
Yes, the cold call. The tactic should be the same regardless of the generation.
Tactics are the same.
Yeah. I got through to them. So
people answered their phones then. They didn't do it now. You'd have to have connected. You would have connected with them on a LinkedIn and sent him an email.
Well, I had to get through the main receptionist and his secretary.
Right. No, those are all automated now.
Yeah, those are all automated. So, I mean, you could argue that it was actually tougher back then. So, and unbeknownst to me, it's sort of a funny story. See, this is an example where the tools would have been useful. So, I get through to him, we talk, and make an appointment. Yeah, he says, I'd like to talk to you. Send me your resume, but we just faced a conversation. He scheduled an appointment. So I go in. Actually, it turns out the guy had offered me a job at a previous company like 3 years before that, but I hadn't recognized his name.
Wow!
For some reason, I don't know why he didn't recognize mine, and I didn't recognize his. But yeah, as soon as we saw each other, I walked in the room. I was like, "Wait a second!
I know you.
Wait a second! You offered me a job." Yeah, no, I mean he remembered instantly. So did I. It was sort of funny. But yeah, had I had LinkedIn, I could have researched. Yeah, I could have said, "Oh gosh, yeah, I know John. John offered me a job before that I turned down." Actually, it's a funny story. He had offered me the job, people listening. He'd offered me this job as like a director of sales job at this one company. He says, so yeah, I'd love to have you come to work here. So let me give you a piece of advice. And I said, yeah. He said, don't take it.
Wow.
Because he said, yeah, this company is, and the company was, and most people won't remember, it was the company that created the CPM operating system, the first precursor to DOS on the PCs, and Digital Research, it was called. It was based down in Pacific Grove, California. It's just right by Monterey. And he said, yeah, this place is going to hell. I'm leaving. Yeah, I think you shouldn't take it. So, yeah, it was one of those interesting interview situations.
That's a great story, though.
Yeah, well,
that's a great story.
Yeah, the guy turned out to be, when he hired me, that next company, yeah, basically the really influential mentor in my whole career. It taught me a tremendous amount about sales. So I'm glad it worked out the second time, because he was a great guy to work for. Scary, but good. Well,
and good that you make the most of serendipity and these chance encounters with people. And it's a small world. You don't know where somebody's gonna turn up again. And it's why these relationships are so important. And in sales too, relationships are so important, and maintaining them, paying attention to them. And you never know where somebody's going to turn up.
Yeah. And we actually, with John, this boss, this good friend of mine, we bonded over running. So yeah,
see how it all comes full circle.
It all comes full circle. He would run the San Francisco Marathon every year, and oftentimes, not oftentimes, but sometimes, without training for it. He was one of those people. So
wow,
talk about grit and determination. He would, he'd been busy at work. He hadn't really been doing much running at all. I mean, maybe had done some runs. I remember Ryan said, so, what are you doing this weekend? I'm in San Francisco Marathon. I said, John, you haven't been running. Yeah, I'll be fine.
I had a friend that did that too. Crazy in my estimation, but some people can do it.
Yeah, you could do it. So anyway, well, Bridget, first of all, let's thank the audience for hopefully paying attention and staying with us today as we talked about
all kinds of things.
All sorts of things. Not many were sales related, but had fun doing it. Hope you did as well. And Bridget, as always, thank you for joining me, and look forward to talking next week.
Likewise. Have a great one.
All right. Talk to you next week. Thanks for listening to the show. If you like what you heard and want to make sure you don't miss any upcoming episodes, please subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or Stitcher.com. For more information about today's guest, visit my website at andypaul.com.